Okay, we are here with the sisters in ministry in Peru. Could you tell me about your call to ministry here in Peru? How long you have been here and where you have served?
Si me puede hablar de la llamada al ministerio, cómo fue la llamada y dónde se ha vivido su ministerio acá en el Perú.
Justo ayer compartía con las asociadas cómo es que al hablar de Ángela me hizo pensar mucho en esta visita al mar que hicimos hace poco en La Punta. Yo me gusta mucho contemplar el mar, pero creo que cada vez que voy al mar me conmueve mucho por la gran inmensidad y la capacidad de amor que revela este mar que es Dios. Porque yo fui llamada por el mar en un momento de crisis, en un momento de mucho miedo. Fui tocada por Dios, por el sonido y por el mar y por mi nombre. Entonces yo sentí esa primera llamada y muchas otras, esa llamada de Dios en mi vida, y a la vez también creo que esa llamada me confirmó mi vocación de entrar a la congregación, pues cuando yo tenía por lo menos 25 años. Y a partir de esta llamada, a partir de este gran amor que sentí de parte de las hermanas, mucha afirmación, mucha cercanía, mucha libertad para decidir las cosas que tenía que decidir en su momento, me permitió ser quien soy ahora. Y creo que mi misión, creo que siempre he estado llamada para servir a los pequeños, a los niños. Lo descubrí mi vocación desde muy joven también, pero lo descubrí haciendo. Entonces, para mí fue una gran oportunidad y un gran don que yo recibí de Dios, ¿no? Y bueno, mi misión yo lo he hecho aquí, en mi tierra, en el Callao, con la catequesis familiar en sus inicios, muchos años en la catequesis familiar en la parroquia Santa Ángela Merici, y después tuve la oportunidad de ir a San Miguel a seguir otra parte vocacional de mi vida. Después estuve en Muquillauyo, en Jauja, en Junín, y bueno, y ahora nuevamente estoy aquí. Creo que en esos momentos fueron muy claves en mi vida, ¿no? Y hasta ahora creo que es un gran reto también, seguir siendo ursulina peruana aquí en Perú.
So yesterday when we reflected together with the associates, I called to mind the other day when we went to the ocean. The ocean for me has always been a place of contemplation, and the ocean brings to my mind the immensity of God's love and God's call for me. I feel my call was confirmed at the ocean. I was 25 years old, and as the ocean reminds me of the great love that God has for us, reminds me also of the love that I experienced with the Ursuline sisters and the freedom that I experienced with them and through them. I've always felt my call to be to serve with the littlest ones, and that call was discovered in action, in the doing of it. So my mission was first in Callao, especially with the catechetical program in the parish, St. Angela Merici. Then later in San Miguel, also in Muquillauyo, and now once again here. And the challenge is to be an Ursuline a Peruvian Ursuline here in Callao.
Kathy, do you want to share?
The question was our ministry in Peru, my ministry in Peru, when I felt called to my ministry in Peru. Well, in high school, I was a student in our small Ursuline Academy in Cumberland, Maryland. We were given the opportunity to choose shorthand or Spanish. And I always wanted, to study Spanish, so I was grateful for the opportunity. I chose Spanish. A Capuchin priest who served in Puerto Rico taught Spanish, and I really appreciated it. And then when I went to Louisville, I had Spanish in college. Then I was teaching, and there was a note on the bulletin board, volunteers were needed for Peru in 1968. And I thought, I really always wanted to go to Peru, but I was thinking maybe 10 years from now. I was 27 at the time, and I thought, surely, it wasn't going to be very soon, because I was in the inner city school in St. Boniface, and Sister Theodore was starting a new program, and it was very exciting. But then, so I signed up for Peru thinking it was going to be later, but then 7 of us were called to study Spanish on Saturdays. And again, I thought, well, that was going to be later, and I continued in the inner city in St. Boniface School. But then 2 of us were asked to go in February. And so Sister Jane Steckenborg and myself came down in February. Then we were told that we should study Spanish intensively. So we were asked to go to Bolivia, to Cochabamba, Bolivia. And Jane and I went for 5 months. We studied there, and then I taught in the language school. I taught in the Navy School here in Lima for 3 years. Then we decided that as a mission, we should leave the Navy School. And so we were asked if we wanted to work in the barrio, and I said yes, I would like to come over to the barrio. Because I had studied speech and hearing in Louisville, we had speech and hearing speech and hearing clinic on the campus. So when I came to the barrio, I looked for children who needed speech and hearing help. So we started a small school, another teacher and myself, Berta Parata. We had 7 children in our first class in St. Angelo. Lee was principal at the time, and Carmen, anyway. And Father Mike Bafaro said that as a pastor, he said that I could start a small school there. So we did, and then we had more children, it kind of grew, and Lee gave us a room in St. Angela Mercy School. So then we had more children, deaf and hard of hearing children, and then we merged in 1985 with a special ed school here in Lima. And I went back in 1985 or 74. Anyway, I came back to the States for 6 years to get my master's degree. And, bueno, I stayed there for 6 years, and then I was given permission to come back again. So in 1980, I returned and worked in the barrio here till 91. And then in 1991, I went to San Miguel. And I've been in San Miguel since 1991. I don't know if that's understandable. Okay.
Okay, for me, even as a young girl, I was very interested in what we called then the missions, which meant anything outside the United States. But unlike with Kathy, I put my name in as to volunteer, but for some reason wasn't invited, wasn't called at that time. And only several years later, when Lee was going to be alone here, she invited me then to come, and I accepted. So that was in '79. So I've been in Peru since '79. I was first here in Carmen de la Legua, working with women's groups and with the catechetical group. Then in '85, I went to Cajamarca, to Cajabamba, and was there for about a year and a half or 2 years. And then Betty and I we were invited by the bishop, asked by the bishop to go to San Miguel. So I was there for about 2 more years. Then I returned here to begin working with young women on Christian vocation, and did that for many years until became involved in the formation program here, and then 4 years in Muquiayo and Huancayo. And then after those 4 years, I returned again here, and then in the meantime, in between then, I became the representative for the community as the promoter of our parish school here. Okay.
What are some of the biggest changes you have seen in Peru since you have started serving here?
¿Cuáles son los grandes cambios que hemos visto en el Perú desde que venimos, desde que iniciamos este ministerio? I think there's been an evolution of changes. In the early 80s and through the 90s, Peru lived a very difficult time with the terrorism, with the Shining Path in Tupac Amaru. So those were changes where there was a lot of violence. People lived in a lot of tension. Many people left the Sierra, especially Ayacucho, to come to Lima for protection, because where they lived was no longer safe. So that whole period of time created a lot of changes in the way we worked, in the way we related to people. You had to be kind of secretive at times about your meetings. And then some of the other changes that happened in the early 2022 through up till now is the increase in corruption, political corruption, corruption in all levels of government, little by little. So it infiltrated, but I think it's left demeaning mark on the society, especially on young people. So those are just some of the changes. I'll leave the other two to mention. Other changes.
Excuse me. I think in the years that I have been here, excuse me, I think I have seen the same changes that Sue has seen, but the economy seems to be better now. When I first came, it seemed like people were struggling more, and that is still happening, of course. But I think many families have been able to work together and find a way to make ends meet. And I think on a whole the economy is better. Excuse me, I'm going to get some water. Excuse me. I think that's about it right now.
Okay. Julie?
Yo estaba, una de las cosas que yo veo que ha evolucionado mucho desde que llegaron mis hermanas acá al Perú, es que pienso mucho en este cambio de la nueva tecnología aquí en el mundo de hoy. La tecnología se ha extendido tanto en el mundo que ahora todo es computadoras, televisores, los celulares, laptop. O sea, antes esto no existía. Yo me acuerdo de mí cuando estaba en San Miguel, ellos usaban mucho la máquina de escribir, que en ese entonces no existía todavía las computadoras, ¿no? Las máquinas de escribir eran era nuestra herramienta de trabajo, ¿no? Y para hacer trabajos en el colegio también. Y para mí ahora es un gran cambio la cuestión de la tecnología, ¿no? Y el uso que le damos, que al mismo tiempo también llega a ser todo un cambio en cuanto a cómo educarnos con estos medios de comunicación, que si bien es cierto son buenos, pero que creo que también tiene su parte débil, ¿no? Creo que en eso sí tenemos que educarnos, sobre todo con los más pequeños, los jóvenes, saber utilizar estos medios tecnológicos, estos medios de comunicación, que ahorita están en su pompa, ¿no? En su crecimiento.
I was going to mention that also, and just to add on to, no voy a introduce you. The change in technology, when the sisters first came, they didn't have cell phones, they didn't have computers, they didn't have laptops, and all of that has really changed the way we work and what we do. When they were first in San Miguel, they used just a regular typewriter, didn't have the computers or the cell phone. But so much depends now on the use that we give to this technology. And the weakness in that is sometimes the poor use that we give to that. I wanted to add on to that because I think that's an important piece is I think there's a breakdown in communication, especially in families. You go into a meeting, you go into a home, and even if it's a celebration or a party, many people are with their cell phone. So it has really reduced, I think, the communication within families, or people send messages, but there's no verbal communication, there's no personal contact. And especially in families, I think that it's changed the way the way people communicate, and I think it's lessened the personal relationship and communication, which has other consequences as well.
This is a question for Julie. As a native Peruvian and a younger sister, how do you see the future unfolding for you? Will you remain in Peru, for example, when Sue and Kathy leave?
Como una peruana y ursulina, ¿qué piensas hacer cuando llega el momento que nosotros no estamos? ¿Vas a quedarte en el Perú? ¿Vas a regresar a los estados?
Bueno, es algo que ya hemos estado conversando con Katy y con Sue. Estamos pensando también en el futuro, en qué va a pasar, ¿no? Yo estoy muy atenta a los cambios que están habiendo en la comunidad, en mi congregación global, pero al mismo tiempo estoy también pensando en mi comunidad pequeña acá en Perú, porque siento que mis hermanas en algún momento van a tener que salir, ¿no? Sé que ellas tienen sus propias decisiones, cómo salir, cómo qué elegir, quedarse acá para morir allá, pero yo personalmente me he estado preparando y estoy preparándome en el sentido de haber hecho este puente con las hermanas en los estados, de ir allá a vivir un año, una experiencia y conocer más a la congregación. Que eso para mí era un pedido que yo hice a la comunidad aquí, porque si bien es cierto, necesito extender más mi puente. Mi puente tiene que crecer más. Entonces, viendo si mis hermanas no están acá, yo pensaba y decía que por un tiempo dejar Perú, irme con ellas allá y luego regresar aquí, reconociendo que tengo el apoyo de las asociadas aquí. Yo pienso que en el futuro esta casa que está aquí la voy a utilizar con ellas. Proponerles a mis hermanas que alguien pueda vivir conmigo aquí. Y si no es así, crear otros espacios para ellas, ¿no? Donde este lugar sea una casa de que la gente venga y esté, que acojamos a otras familias, personas, ¿no? Gente que necesite de esta casa, ¿no? Entonces, pero por lo pronto yo pienso que si mis hermanas salen, yo creo que voy a los estados para insertarme más y para acompañar en este proceso a ellas también, en este proceso. Es lo que me va a hacer sentir bien a mí, ¿no? Y bueno, es lo que yo pienso como peruana, ¿no? Y como decía ayer a las asociadas y como decía yo, creo que el gran valor que tengo es mi coraje. El coraje que tengo para continuar aquí. Yo siempre digo que no sé por qué estoy acá, siendo la única ursulina peruana. Ha habido mucha tentación. Siempre me pregunto, ¿y qué hago aquí? Pero creo que es Ángela y Dios que me tienen acá. Son ellos los que me tienen aquí. Y siento mucho la presencia de Dios en mi vida de muchas maneras. Yo soy una persona mucho de contacto con personas, pero al mismo tiempo también creo que es mi pasión por la vida, ¿no? Y de dar y de llevar y regalar a los demás de lo que yo tengo y compartir. Entonces eso es creo que lo que estoy pensando para el futuro. Si ellas se van, yo también me voy. Y luego regreso a mi país para continuar mi misión acá como peruana.
We've talked about this with Kathy and Sue, looking at what will happen and thinking of my small community and looking to the future. I know that both of them will make their own decisions. I think it's important to for me to make a bridge with the community, and that was the experience that I had one year when I was in Louisville. Like I was invited to extend my bridge to make it a little bit longer. I think that if they return to the States, that I would leave Peru for a time, perhaps to also accompany them in their transition. And then I would return at another time. I would have the support of the associates. I would also see what use we could give to this house here, to see who might want to live with me. But I want to create spaces for other persons. One of my gifts is the courage to continue. And prior to that, when I went to the States, my intention was to be inserted in the States and to be able to know the sisters better, to be able to accompany better. But my gift is one of courage to continue, and it's the gift that being the only Ursuline, Peruvian Ursuline, it's the gift that has been given to me by Angela and by God, and that they've placed me here. I am a person of contact. I feel like it's important to be in contact with other people, and I have a great passion for life, and that will sustain me. So that's what I've been thinking about in these times.
This is for Sue and Kathy. What would you like everyone in the U.S. to know about Peru and the people you serve?
¿Qué es lo que para nosotros, qué es lo que quisiéramos que las demás personas en los estados sepan del Perú y las personas a quien servimos?
Anytime I've been back home in the States, I've always talked about, the Peruvian people, how we are family. I really feel that now looking back, I think I've lived longer here in Peru than I've lived back home. And I feel very drawn to both. Even if I'm in a taxi and they think I'm a tourist and, oh, how long have you been in Peru? I will say that, I talk about that, but I say I didn't leave as a missionary. I didn't leave my country because I didn't like my country. I left as a missionary, and I love the United States and I love Peru, and I feel blessed to have two countries. I really feel in my heart that I have two countries, and not many people can say that. And I feel very welcomed in Peru, always, no matter where I've worked, in San Miguel, Nuquillo, Huancayo, or Lima, Callao. But I always, my people back home, our people, my family, friends, and our community especially, I've always said how much we are all alike, we are one. And the course today, the talk today about the Amazonia, the Amazon, mentioned that several times, that our world is one and that we need each other. And I just never see any culture as apart from ours. We are sisters and brothers. So that's what I've always said. Not always said, I think I've grown to say that. And I believe it with my heart. And when something happens in one country, I really feel it. I know this sounds crazy, but when I see the globe in the solar system, there's one small solar system, and we are only such a small planet. I see us as one, and why we have wars. Excuse me, I don't know what's happening in my throat. But why we can't see that as a country, how we are one as a global community. So we should be supporting one another because it's a part of me, a part of us. And I think I have learned it here, and I am a different person completely because I have lived and worked in Peru. I think I would have seen things very differently back home, and my own family says that. My sister especially, I'm very close to my sister, one of them, all of them really, but I'm close to Marty. And she tells me that I'm changed because I've worked in Peru. I just have a different outlook, a different way of thinking. And I thank God for this special gift, and I thank God that I can speak another language, and it was through osmosis, because it was just being here that has helped me to speak another language. And so the language of Spanish, Castellano, Peru, and Peruvian Spanish. And I am grateful for this blessing, and I will be grateful all of my life. And I guess that's all I can say.
Thanks, Kathy. I think what I would like people at home to know is that I have been taught so much by the Peruvian people. I've received so much, much more than I've given. I have felt the welcome and the love, the affection of the Peruvian people, and truly, when I think about it, rather than serving, it's being served, learning, and for sure, I've learned another God. I've learned about another God and another spirituality. And it's enriched my life, and I hope that I've been able to share that with other people back home, but wherever, just a deep gratitude for having been given this option to come to Peru. Like Kathy, definitely it's changed my life. And gosh, I've got to know Yuli.
Oh, three amigas. Last question, is there anything else you'd like to share?
Si hay algo más que queremos compartir.
Yo creo, algo que estaba pensando cuando yo decía eso de la visita a Kentucky hace 4 años, mi experiencia con las hermanas fue muy especial, me tocó mucho, las pude conocer a cada una como era, en sus alegrías, en sus tristezas, sus costumbres sobre todo, y como ellas me acogieron mucho. Al principio creo que las dos partes aprendimos mutuamente con ellas. Hubo realmente un gran crecimiento para mí, por mi parte, de conocerlas como comunidad, no allá en Louisville, y por otra parte creo que ellas de conocerme a mí, quién era realmente, cómo soy, no, con juegos, con bailes, con alegría, con risas, comiendo cancha, comiendo helado. Era toda una experiencia comiendo pizza con ellas, o sea, para mí eso fue realmente un logro grande, y de hablar sobre todo el inglés. Tuve mucha oportunidad de aprender el inglés con ellas, ¿no? Y eso para mí es un gran regalo también. Por eso quiero yo y necesito continuar hablando en inglés, y para eso tengo que practicarlo más, pero creo que también yo hablo con mis hermanas y les decía que es importante para mí también volver allá para seguir, ¿no?, conectándome, porque de alguna manera, si bien es cierto en nuestra comunidad hay hermanas jóvenes, no somos muchas. Creo que de todas, solamente creo que somos las 5 más jóvenes, 5 jóvenes que vivimos en toda la congregación, y que yo necesito hacer un puente, cómo vivir en el futuro, qué hacer con ellas, poder crear algo juntas, ¿no? Entonces, porque yo también necesito un soporte, necesito a mi comunidad. Yo sé que quiero mucho a mis hermanas, pero sé que no van a estar eternamente conmigo tampoco. Sé que eso es un gran regalo, pero al mismo tiempo también es una gran realidad, ¿no? Que tengo que volar y ya, y ya, porque, como les digo, y es juntas, creo, porque creo que lo bonito es que conversamos de esta situación y yo les pregunto a ellas qué va a pasar, qué va a suceder, qué vamos a hacer en el futuro, ¿no? Pero creo que el estar conversando y comunicándonos, creo que eso nos ayuda a ver nuestro futuro con calma y a no desesperarnos, ¿no? Entonces es un poco lo que yo quería agregar con respecto a mi comunidad allá en Luisiana.
What I would like to share with you is how much it meant to me to spend a year in the States with the sisters, with my sisters in my community. I was able to experience their joys and their sorrows, their sadness. I felt like it was a time of great growth for me. They learned who I am, and because they didn't know me before, and I learned who they are. It was in the eating together with the ice cream and the pizza and other good things that joint experience of being together and sharing together. And also the experience of learning English. That was really important for me to be able to, and I learned English in many different ways during that year that I was there. And I need to continue speaking English and to keep practicing it. In our community, as you know, there are not many young sisters, but there are maybe just 5 of us, and I need to build a bridge with them. I need to be in contact with them, and we need support from one another, a mutual support. I need to fly. I need to kind of be on my own, be independent. Among ourselves, we talk a lot about the future together and what it means. I asked Kathy and Sue what they're thinking about, and I share what I'm thinking about. And it's important that we do this together, that we look at the future with tranquilly, in a calm way, and not be afraid of it or nervous about it.
Do either of you have anything else you want to share?
I guess, would like to express my gratitude for sending both of you.
Yes.
You know, you get into a routine of doing things, and you do them, and you do them, and then somebody comes and says, "What are you doing?" And, what am I doing? But just the fact that you have taken so much interest in who we are, who are the people around us, the way you've been so dedicated to doing the interviews, to get to know them as well as, I mean, we're last on your list. This is last minute, you're leaving tomorrow. But truly your interest, your questions, your observations, they're really encouraging for me, I think for us. And you know, they really give affirmation to the people, like with the associates last night. That meant a lot to them to be able to express what being an associate means for them, just to be able to put words around that and have somebody be interested in knowing that, I think, has been really significant. And in the school as well, you know, the kids that come running up to you, and even the older ones who, you know, are interested in knowing and curious about who you are and what you're doing. But those are the bridges that we need to keep making. Like Kathy said, we're not two, we're one. You cross borders, and I always think that the greatest sin in the world was creating borders. That you know, we should not have any limits to getting to know one another or speaking other languages. And so your coming has meant a lot, I think, as well as, you know, when Carol Curtis was here, it was the same way. She came because she was just interested in us and in the people who are part of our lives. So I just feel very grateful for both of you.
Thank you.
And for those who made this possible.
Yes. To our sponsors.
You know, I was thinking too, you know, you work for our community and you do a great job, but you came and I think you both showed, you know, more than work, you showed real interest, you know, personal interest, and you shared with us and with our people, and you showed, I don't know, it's just a special concern, you know, and I don't know what else to say, but, you know, it was just kind of a special. I wasn't here the first week, and I'm sorry I missed, you know, that, especially in San Miguel, but I heard that, and I'm grateful for Sue for going up,
Yes.
and, you know, for Anna to take the time, and for the priest, especially Padre Kyle, had more time with you all, and the support group, and everyone, and I appreciate it, and I'm going to tell them and thank them and affirm them for that, you know, for what they did with you, with both of you too. So, and I'm just grateful too that you took the time, and also really, Elizabeth, you came down, you know, and we're so glad to know you, and so I just say thank you. Mm-hmm.
And come back.
Yes, and come back. Come back.
Hearts, yes, yes. I feel the same. I feel very blessed to have come and experienced this, and I've just gotten such a better appreciation of what's happening here, and I can tell your stories, and, you know, remind people that you're here and you're present. And yes, please thank everyone, because the people are what made this trip so wonderful.
That's true.
They really did.
The people is why we're here.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you. All right.